United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Stillo?
Here.
Commissioner Watt?
Here.
Commissioner Redwood? Here. Commissioner Blake?
Here.
Commissioner Evans is absent. Commissioner Robert?
Here.
President Goodwin?
Here.
There was an executive session held immediately prior to this meeting to discuss real estate and litigation issues. Real estate and litigation.
Okay, department reports, code enforcement.
Nothing outside of my written report other than the agenda items.
Engineer.
I have submitted my written report. Outside of that, there are several items on the agenda tonight. That's all of my
Chief.
This is the month of January, there were 510 events, Water Valley and County 911 for our department. There's a total of 5 adult arrests, 5 juvenile arrests, total of 10. Officers conducted 6 traffic stops, 4 traffic citations being issued. We also investigated 17 motor vehicle crashes, 10 reportable, 7 non-reportable, with 4 injuries because of these.
Thank you. Solicitor.
Nothing outside the items we discussed in executive session.
Public Works.
Please have a on Tomahawk, and we got other projects we're gonna start along, so weather holds up. So, a whole bunch of small ones that's added up. We get caught up on sooner or later.
Sanitary.
Thank you. We've submitted our written report for January of 19. We treated a total of nearly 23 million gallons of sewage, an average flow of 1.7 million gallons per day. Our maximum flow that we treated through the plant was 2.4 million gallons. We disposed of 71,000 gallons of sludge, and all parameters were in compliance with the law.
Thank you. Citizens to address agenda items.
Andrew, Mr. Township Fire
Oh,
Department,
go ahead.
Deputy Chief Ridnour.
For everybody that doesn't know, the Elizabeth Township Fire Department is comprised of Green Oak Station and the Blytheville Station.
Again.
Come up with So we ended 2018 with 371 requests for assistance. In the month of January, we ran 34 calls. That's 4 fires, 7 rescue EMS, 3 hazardous conditions, 4 service calls, 10 good 10 calls, 5 false alarms, and 1 special incident. The month of January, we attended our annual CPR first aid training, which was 4 hours, hazardous materials operations refresher, which was 8 hours, and we sent 2 firemen to a fire and EMS administration officer class with 9 hours. The previous year, we were officially licensed as through the Pennsylvania Department of Health as a QRS agency. January, we ran our first QRS call. With the QRS, we had to purchase some new AED pads and batteries. For both stations, it was totaling $1,600. And it's fundraising. Our annual Sunday breakfast at the Blytheville Station every Sunday until Palm Sunday, April 4th, 8 a.m. until noon. We have Gun Bash this weekend at the Boston Spectrum, doors open at 2 p.m., February 9th through Saturday. And then Dancing Queen also at the Boston Spectrum, February 16th at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one question, Dan, can you explain a little bit more about what QRS is and what that's ultimately gonna mean to our emergency response?
So QRS is Quick Response Service, and what we do is we run medical calls. So if our ambulance service is on a delay, they're out of the township, or they need any assistance, we can help them.
Very good. Thanks for your help.
Thank you.
Okay, citizens to address agenda items. First one is Animal Bureau.
This involves item number 6 on the agenda,
And it's time to move forward on all the things that are happening in this township. And I'd like to see this number 6 pass and move it on and get all this over with so we can move on down the road. Pipelines are the most effective, safe, and efficient ways of moving natural gas, oil, and LNG, which is natural gas. If anybody wants to dispute it, they can look it up. You can end up with thousands of trucks and trains moving these commodities instead. We would have to have tens of thousands of railroad tanker cars, tanker trucks, etc., to do the same thing at way higher costs that would be passed on to you and be a lot less safe. And I also want to mention the eco-terrorists that are in our, in our midst sometimes. They are trying to shut down Fireworks. If anybody disputes that, they're out of their mind, which will also end up closing the Irwin Works and Edgar Thompson Works and Eastman Chemicals, which involves about 3,000 people, jobs. And what will happen is, I can tell you, there's a lot of people in this school district, in the township, that collect pensions from those companies and still work there. I know some of those people. The other thing I want to mention, CNX Energy is tapping into the Ohio River to supply Marcellus shale wells that they are drilling down the Ohio River. And I wanted to make that comment. And that's it for now. I want to speak later on the non-agenda item.
Thanks, Al.
Maybe you could save that minute for me.
Next one up is Rustler Bennett.
Russ Urbanic, 325 High Street. I was looking at item number 4, sanitary bond request. Is that for the Act 37 stuff?
That was the permit fee for the Rails to Trails submission that was previously approved by the board. That was the permit fee for the application.
Okay, any progress on the getting line sent down to McKee's Court yet?
It's still in DEP's hands, I would say.
Okay, thank you.
Next one up. Next one up is Ted Grace. Hi, Ted.
Ted Grace. So I'm going to keep this very short. I just got out of the hospital with my wife, but that's a different story. She's perfectly fine. Everything's fine. I just wasn't prepared like I wanted to be. I'm going to give you 2 articles here. One of them is dealing with a Sunday a week ago. One of them is dealing with Sunday yesterday, dealing with issues that are happening with the oil and natural gas industry. And the concern I have is the pipeline ordinance that's in front of you here. I'm looking for safeguards in place there that we don't become newspaper. We all know about Claret Works. I don't want Claret Works shut down. I think that it's perfectly fine to be there, but I think that there needs to be safeguards in place, and there needs to be things that are done correctly, and people need to be notified of what's going on. And those kind of safeguards need to be in place all across the board. So I'm just asking for safeguards in place, and when the pipeline ordinance is going out there, it to be done in the proper way that allows them for those safeguards to be in place, not get started.
Next one up, Sandy Hearn.
Sandy Hearn, 156 Grouse Drive, Elizabeth, PA. I'm concerned about item number 6, which is sending back the pipeline ordinance to the planning commission. And so what I did is I organized things in folders for each of you, because I know it's hard for all of you to get the information that you need to get. But some of the things that I opted to put in here is the original. I see the original is what you're talking about sending back. I'm not sure exactly what, Mr. Acuña sent to the county. Was it the original or what you sent the plan? Okay. We worked on the original in March 2017, and we were still working on it in August 2017. Many people came and expressed their opinions, and so I think there's a lot of things you need to look at. In the folder are how residents are protected by this pipeline. How are you doing that? Water pipelines, are they now being included in light of the Forward Township water line piercing and the mine void and the possible leakage out of the impoundment that all went to Genola and caused flooding, and are still people who are not in homes in Genola? Gathering lines, are they covered adequately? Chester County is what was referred to by the county. When they sent back, they said all of you should look at Chester County and for safety and for notifications. And I'm sure you all did go to the website for Chester County and have copies of that, but it would be nice for you to review it, and so I copied this for you also. And with the time remaining, I hope to speak at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Sandy. Okay, next one up is Patty Hoffman.
I'm going to reserve my time to the end for the non-agenda item. Thank you.
Okay, everyone else is on agenda, so we'll take that comment at the end. Resolutions. Motion to adopt resolution 2019-2, authorizing the disbursement of $311,904.65 in 2018 fire funds from the special fire levy account.
Second.
Question on the motion?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
Yes.
Commissioner Locke?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Robert?
Yes.
President Evans? Or President Kuzma? I'm
Yes.
sorry. It's like, it's used to it.
I'll give it back to them if you want. Motion to adopt resolution 2019-3, establishing the annual criteria to qualify for credits under the Act 172 Volunteer Service Credit Program.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion?
Just for the audience purposes, I think I give a brief description of what we're voting here, especially as young men sitting here, because this is a volunteer service credit program.
So we previously, through ordinance, established the Act 172 Volunteer Tax Credit Program, which gives volunteers in the township a credit on their taxes, essentially. This resolution is the follow-up to that ordinance which enacted the actual tax credit. This resolution specifies the specific criteria that are necessary to be met in order to qualify for that. The way the ordinance is structured and the way that it's structured under Act 172, the tax will get established by ordinance and then the criteria by resolution. So that's exactly what we're doing here.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, I'm sure that you guys in the back can attest to this, but the number of volunteer firefighters over the past 50 years has been on a steady decline. And if we're able to give them a little bit of money back on their taxes to help retain firemen or recruit new members, I think that's great. The alternative to volunteers is having a paid fire department, and we'd have to have another township tax just for that. So I think that this tax credit for them is a no-brainer.
And what we also did, it was an and or proposition, like earned income tax and or township property taxes, and this board decided to include both for the volunteers.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I'll have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
Yes.
Commissioner Locke?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Robert?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2019-4, approving the merger of Greenock Volunteer Fire Department with Elizabeth Township Fire Department number 1.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
Yes.
Commissioner Locke?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Robert?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Items for consideration. Motion to approve the general fund bill warrant dated February 4th, 2019, in the amount of $385,207.65.
Chairman, I'd like to speak to something there before we vote.
Get a motion in a second first, that's their comments.
I need a motion.
So,
I'll second it. Okay, push on the motion.
All right, it's the first time since I've been on this board, it's a long time, we've ever had to transfer money from the council fund into the general fund. I think we as a board, we better sit down and look at our financial situation, because we're gonna have to be doing this over and over again. And I would, if I'm gonna vote on it, I only wanna pay the salaries to township employees, and for this board to meet between now and the next meeting and try to come up with a solution. It may be a tax anticipation loan, and again, I don't remember the last time we did that. But it's gonna be the same old thing over again, transfer this, but makes it too easy. So I think that's my comment.
Okay. I appreciate your input. I disagree with you. The money that we're taking out of the capital reserve fund was in accordance with the budget. Whenever we did the budget, we knew that we would have a $300,000 deficit.
That's not so.
Yes, it is. It came out of your mouth.
No,
Yes, it
that's
did.
not so.
And
That doesn't cure, Andrew, doesn't cure our situation. What are we gonna do 2 weeks from now?
that's when the tax money comes in, Donald.
No, it doesn't come into March or April.
This $350,000 will carry us until that date, Donald. If we take out a tax anticipation note, which listen, for those in the audience that don't know what a tax anticipation note is, from the time, during the beginning of the year until taxes come in, some municipalities that are struggling financially have to take out a loan until they get the tax money in and then they pay that money back. We have enough money set aside that we could go without taking that loan and paying interest, which is what he wants us to do. I refuse to pay interest. I'd rather borrow the $350 than put it back into our account.
No, I'm saying, how do you get the numbers? If we need it now, where are we gonna get the money for the next payroll?
The $350,000.
I'm not talking, I hate to pay interest, I've never paid interest.
The $350,000 will carry us until we get the tax money in. After we get the tax money in, then we'll.
You're saying that this 350 is going to carry us until April?
Until the tax money comes in with the money that we already have.
Well, the tax money will come in March and April. If our bills is 300 and some thousand, in 3 months, we're talking about over $1 million. You're gonna say 350,000 carries us till then? Do the arithmetic.
There's other money coming in all the time.
What is it? Look, you tell me what it is and how much. That's what I wanna know. That's why I wanna sit down as a board to say, this is from.
Donald, you don't open up your packet and read the bills. If you read the bills, you'd figure out what's going on.
You're accusing me of something that's not true.
Because you come to the meetings with your packets with tape on it. You don't open up the bills.
Here's where I make the invitation.
I've been on the
You
board.
wanna see it?
Listen,
Why don't you grow up?
I've been on the board 4 years. I've never seen you with an open packet. All right, we have a motion and a second. It's time for a roll call.
Commissioner Summerall.
No.
Commissioner Wall.
yes.
Commissioner Beckles.
Yes.
Commissioner Blake.
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick.
Yes.
President Christie.
Yes. Motion to approve the sanitary fund bill warrant dated February 4th, 2019 in the amount of $180,000, $970.69.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Question.
Go ahead.
I saw we have Fusion listed on there for, $9,562. I thought we always did that as a separate motion, so we could track what we're paying them.
We always did a separate motion. We did it as a separate motion once.
No, it's always been done as a separate motion.
What's that for?
And that's their fee for fourth quarter of last year. We paid almost $9,600 to them.
Okay, now I'm gonna give a lesson to the audience again. We have $11 million sitting in an account.
Did we get a statement?
Hang on. We have $11 million sitting in an account that we're gonna use to complete a pipeline to send to McKeesport. Last year, and I wasn't president, and I don't think Chris was president either, we had that $11 million sitting in an account at Northwest Savings Bank, earning 0 interest.
Oh, yeah.
If I was a stockholder in a company, or if I was a CEO, and I had $11 million in an account earning 0 interest, our stockholders would murder me. I saw bids from Heffern Tillotson, I saw bids from other finance firms, we hired Fusion Investment to manage the $11 million that we have sitting in a bank account earning 0 interest. They took the money in accordance with approval from the bond agent and everyone else. They are investing the $11 million in CDs and treasury bills, and we're getting 2% as opposed to 0, okay? Now, we have to pay a fee to them to just for maintaining the $11 million fund. We are bringing in $200,000 in interest. We have to spend $9,600 a quarter to get it. Last time I checked, $140,000 or $160,000 is more than 0. So yes, we have to pay $9,600. But Joanne, when you were president, we got 0. It's free money. It's $160,000. It's free money.
Mr. Chairman, may I talk? And you did bring that up, and that money should have been spent, if we would have handled things properly.
Right.
But when I'm sitting back in that room, at an illegal meeting, which we call, you know what we call it, but anyhow, I suggested we put the money in what, treasury notes, right?
Then why did you do it?
In one ear and out the other.
You were what?
Let me finish.
Okay.
We would have paid 0. We would have paid 0. So what do? You give it to someone else to do the same thing. That's number one. And what do? We pay $9,000.
Donald.
Now, wait a minute.
Donald, I didn't interrupt you. I'm gonna interrupt you.
Let me finish. If we need that money, do you know that there's some speculation there? Do you know that?
Donald.
Do you know that? Answer my question, yes or no?
Yes, Donald.
You know that. If we have to go on the market, we have to sell it on the market, we could sell it in the law.
Donald, you were vice president of this board for 1.5 years. Why didn't you take the money to the bank and buy treasury bills when you were whenever you were vice president for 1.5 years? You didn't. You let it sit. We got 0 interest. If you would have done it, if you would have done.
So I was a dummy, but don't
you
you do that to me again.
What are you gonna do, Donald?
Okay, just wait. I also want to make one point of clarification. Just-
I made the statement that we ought to do this.
We
What
gotta
I did 10 years ago isn't important.
We're gonna motion on this second.
Oh, yeah, just let me make one point to the board. I just want to make sure that everyone's aware. There are also legal restrictions on how that money.
That's right, and I taught you that.
Just so that you
You
know.
didn't know that, I taught you that.
That's not true.
That right here, you didn't know. You were gonna get 8%, both of you. 8%, which is illegal as hell.
That couldn't be.
We got
Yes,
zero-
it was.
we
You
got-
made the motion to get 8%. And you didn't stop me.
That's not true.
And I said there's restrictions.
You're creating history.
That's okay. Didn't vote. We're voting.
I just want to know who the fund statements, that's all I'm asking.
We're waiting on it.
Because I think we,
We're waiting on the statement, right?
Why aren't we
why
getting
did
it?
we get them already? They're reading it ones from last year.
Do roll call.
Commissioner Simolo,
No.
Commissioner Wall,
Yes.
Commissioner Beckler.
No.
Commissioner Blake,
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick,
Yes.
President Cook.
Yes, and I apologize because we have 2 kids on the board. Motion to authorize transfer of $350,000 from capital reserve fund to general fund in accordance with the 2019 budget.
So moved.
I'll second. Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simolo,
No.
Commissioner Wall.
Yes.
Commissioner Beckler.
No.
Commissioner Blake,
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick,
Yes.
President Cook.
Yes. Motion to approve sanitary bond requisition number 64 in the amount of $17,500.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simolo,
Yes.
Commissioner Wall,
Yes.
Commissioner Beckler.
Yes.
Commissioner Blake,
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick,
Yes.
President Cook.
Yes. Motion to approve commissioners' meeting minutes dated November 5th, 2018, November 19th, 2018, December 17th, 2018, and January 7th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simolo,
Yes.
Commissioner Wall,
Yes.
Commissioner Beckler.
Yes.
Commissioner Blake,
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick,
Yes.
President Cook.
Yes. Motion to send original version of the proposed pipeline ordinance to the Township and County Planning Commissions for review and comment.
So moved.
I'll second.
Question.
Good.
Now, I didn't get you to check the ordinance. Is the safety valve in or out of the ordinance?
In the version that's gonna go back to the planning and resolve in that version,
Why?
because it's the original version that's going back. So they can add it back in. We're basically starting the process over, so. yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
It can be amended.
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckles?
Yes, with the stipulation that safety belt is at the back.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. I'm gonna pull number 7, because I need to do a little bit more investigating on that. So we'll move on to number 8. Motion to ratify approval to donate section of right-of-way located on Broadlawn Drive to Allegheny County and execute agreement in relation to Broadlawn Slope Stabilization Project.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckles?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Motion to approve quote from Enterprise Fencing in the amount of $35,500 to replace fence and backstop at municipal field.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckles?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Motion to approve the 2019 field maintenance agreement between Elizabeth Township and EFYA in the amount of $13,840.98.
So moved.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckles?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Motion to authorize expenditures for board president and office manager to attend the 2019 Allegheny League Municipality Spring Conference.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
No.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckles?
No, if we're so strapped for money, I don't think we should be paying for anybody to express.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Motion approved to reapprove the Allen Major subdivision plan as previously submitted and approved as recommended by the planning commission.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckles?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Motion to approve the CAR MCP consolidation plan combining 2 lots into one in the Fox Run plan as recommended by the planning commission.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckles?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Motion to set a date for the public hearing for the conditional use application for James Lazinski for a single-family home in a riverfront conservation district as recommended by the planning commission.
So moved.
I'll second. Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckles?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Motion to advertise a public hearing for the conditional use application from James Lazinski.
We setting the date? We don't have enough time before the next meeting. With that, as it is to twice. Yeah. Yeah, March 4th. Okay.
Just so the public knows, we're gonna set that for March 4th before the next commission, at 6 o'clock. Okay, I need a motion for that.
So moved.
Second. Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckles?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Motion to approve change order number 1 for the Schweitzer Road retaining wall project for additional guardrail.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckles?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Motion to approve pay application number 4, final to LT Paris Contracting, in the amount of $50,279.99 to be paid out of liquid fuels.
So moved.
Second.
Question on motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Summer?
Yes.
Commissioner Walsh?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckler?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Okay, that concludes our items for consideration, so now we're gonna move to, non-agenda items. First one is John Corey.
I'm John Corey, I live on Tomahawk Drive, I've been a resident for 44 years. Last year, there was a safety issue on the pedestrian walkway between Tomahawk Drive and the municipal ball field and the township building due to a wall failure. This problem was brought to the attention of the township road superintendent, Jake, and Councilman Kuzma. This is turned to be a township problem and a responsibility. This walkway is used by a lot of adults and children as an egress to the ball field, batting cages, activities at the township building, parades late at night, and walkers and joggers. Pleased to say the project was started a month ago and is at least 90% complete with the exception of minor restoration, backfill, and asphalt. Safety liability has been eliminated and the Aeroplan residents may enjoy many years of use. Special thanks to Councilman Kuzma, to Jake and his crew, and for all the hard work in the adverse working conditions that he had put up with, and special thanks to council members also for the backing. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, John. Next one is Peggy Kim.
Hi,
Hi.
my name's Peggy Coon, I live at 529 Oak Avenue in Elizabeth. And right off the top, I want to say I appreciate our township road crew, they do a great job on snow removal. The only problem I have is at the end of my street, the road crew stops after they plow and they hand shovel away the snow from that residence end of his driveway. And I think that's unfair to the rest of our residents since we don't have that special treatment. And, I don't know why that is happening. This is the first year I've seen it. And I've seen it twice and I have taken a video of it. If anybody's interested in seeing it, you can contact me. And, can anybody tell me why that is happening?
What street is this?
It's Oak Avenue, and it's at the end, it's a dead-end street. And the person that lives at that dead end, he's getting special treatment, right? And, there's no cul-de-sac there. There used to be, but since he bought the property, he did away with that. So there's no actual turnaround for the, snow plows to, turn around. So, I understand he's wanting privacy for his property, but, to get special treatment, to get hand shoveled away, I mean, after a plow goes through, I go up, get out, and I shovel it myself. I'm no spring chicken anymore.
I'd like to see it too.
You want to see it now? Or-
Whatever, but I would like to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna look into it, because we don't tolerate, anything like that, so we're gonna definitely look into it.
And I can give you the owner's name of the property.
Okay, give it to him
Okay,
before you leave.
all right.
Thank you. Okay, Emil, you have something that's not agenda?
I think it's time to stop arguing and fighting and then get things done and move forward, okay? We need to finish projects. I just want to give you 3 examples of what could have been in this township that didn't happen. We never finished the sewer system. We lost 3 developments. One on Upper Golf Course, which was approximately 102 patio homes. 7 Springs Pitch and Putt was a lot of townhomes. And behind the middle school, there was going to be approximately 20 to 22 homes up there. Because there's no sewer lines and tap-ins, we never got these projects anywhere. All the drawings are done. I actually even have drawings of the one on Butler with the patio homes. If anybody wants to look at them, I don't have extra copies of that stuff. But things gotta get done around here. There's nothing being done, and just to give you an example of how bad things are getting, I have accounts at PNC Bank down in Olympia. We got a letter, they're closing the bank April 23rd. It affects a lot of people, I'm sure, in Elizabeth Township. And these are the things that are happening when the communities around the bank start going downhill. If we're one of those communities, we need to do something about it.
Kathleen Joanne and I on the sewage, but you know who got it finished, right?
Yeah. I know, that's what I'm saying. We gotta get back on the ball again. But this is for Matt. Matt, if nothing's getting done around here, I want you to study and figure out how we can do this. We need to call for a township emergency so that these things can get done. We can't keep doing what we're doing here. It's ridiculous. And then, this is for the firemen. I wasn't gonna say anything about it, but since they were up here, and I mentioned this to one of the commissioners, I might have mentioned it, Donald. There's an article in the paper where to recruit young high school kids out of high school and have to go to school, college, they're offering, I don't know what they call it now, I don't have the article handy, a college scholarship for kids who want to be volunteer firemen to help them out. I don't know if the firemen know about that or not.
It's called the Fire Vest.
I don't know, but anyway, I just wanted to put that up too. Thank you.
Okay, next one up is Patty Hoffman.
Patty Hoffman, Duncan Station Road. If you're going to build a house, you're going to have insurance, you're going to do anything in life, you're going to buy a car, you're going to buy anything, you're going to go out and you are going to look for the best price, but you're also going to look for the best terms. You're going to look to see what they're giving you and what they're not giving you. We don't do that here in this township. We take whatever somebody is willing to give us. We don't go out and look. Shame on us. This is a horrible thing to have to do to the township. You ignore the people that have lived in this township, that have raised their children in this township, and have raised their grandchildren in this township. You have hurt the people that moved into this township, and you don't care. You just keep on doing it. You can all put your heads down and don't look at me, but you know what? The people in this township know what's going on. It isn't a secret. You have to look and you have to know and you have to care. And we're not doing that. You don't know about all the accidents going on. You don't know about the things that are going on in Jessup. You don't know. You let an Invenergy power plant come into this township, writing their own ordinance, never looking at it, never checking it, and never changing it. You argue over dumb stuff of free money, but you don't change an ordinance that a power plant writes for this township. You just don't care. And this is your legacy. I hope you all realize that, because it's not going to stop now. It's going to be in the minutes, it is going to be in people's minds, and it is going to be something that is talked about for the rest of your life and the lives after. So everything that you have destroyed, everything that you have done, the Huntley and Huntley things that you have approved, that you want to get done, that you think are great, you have to look in the paper. I'm sure Ted gave it to you. What's going on? What's happening in Washington County? What's happening in Westmoreland County? They're having flares going off for conventional wells. Why? Because they were drilling and oops, something bad happened. Oh, I guess we're gonna have to fix it. They're fixing not just the unconventional wells, they're having to fix and flare the regular conventional wells, the ones that were in people's yards, and people think this is all going on. Stop and think what you're doing. Stop and think what you're doing to the people of this township. You don't care, and I'm very sad.
Disagree with you. John Jarvis.
John Jarvis, I'm at 5733 Mead Street, adjacent to the Dollar General property. It's been 9 months or so since I started complaining about this, and over a year before that with no response. I know things have been moving a little bit. I'm looking for an update, kind of looking to see what, we're putting a deadline on this.
Yeah, we, just as an update, we did file civil actions for daily penalties and daily citations. I did get a call from the guy at CMK Properties named John Boots. Mr. Boots sort of said he was out of the loop. He found out once we got the citations issued to him and the court date set, and he said that he was going to play an active role and make sure that this was done. He reached out to a woman by the name of Janine Venturi, and she's at Dollar General. We went back and forth basically between John, Janine, myself, as far as what the issues were, because I told them that if it didn't get fixed, that we were going to move forward with the daily citations, and I would have no choice under the under our subdivision and land development ordinance, to file for sort of adjunctive relief and move forward. We were going to force them basically through court action to correct the problem. So John and Janine worked it out. On January 25th, Janine said they were submitting the project out for bid. So it should be corrected here shortly. So that's kind of where we are right now.
Okay, so will they be given a deadline on when this has to be done, or just basically
well,
weather permitting would be my assumption?
That was what the difficulty was, to be honest with John, and what I said to them was it had to be reasonable. I wanted to make sure it continued to move, but I couldn't, like, as you know, when temperatures are below zero, or this happens, that it's really tough, especially in the winter. So as long as they're showing me in good faith that they're moving forward, and John Boots seems like a trustworthy guy. I don't know how much that means to you, but I mean, just on the phone, I got a feeling that he's gonna get this done. So I'm giving them a little bit of leeway to make sure it was done. Like I said, I just got an email a week ago saying it was going out to bid. So I'm hoping that, you're gonna see some action there shortly.
So if it's going out to bid, there's a plan, or drawings and
I
things
imagine
available at
there's
this
a
point?
plan, yeah, I'll show it to you after the meeting if you want.
Okay, that would be great. I'd like to see what they're gonna do, because the only way they're gonna fix that is they're also gonna need to be on my property to do that work. At this point, the yard has fell further and they're past the fence, so
Yeah.
they'll need to be in my yard to do the
Whatever
work.
needs to be
so.
done, yeah. So, and again, the plan, their plan doesn't necessarily have to involve a retaining wall. It has to comply with the slope requirements, which probably means they would need a retaining wall. But again, I can't say to them, you have to put a wall in. What I have to say to them is, under our ordinance, it has to be a 2-to-1 grade. So they're either gonna have to backfill that whole thing or build a wall. And the wall probably makes the most sense, so I'll keep you in the loop.
Thank you.
Kathy Anderson?
I'm Kathy Anderson. I live at 2900 Sheridan Drive. As I've said before many times, my husband and I live beside a historic property. I have a whole list of things that I'd like to talk with all of you about, but I don't know that it's going to make any difference. After the hearing on the 20th, I was incredibly disappointed and disturbed. An awful lot of people came out to talk to all of you about how they felt about that power plant, and it seems like you ignored every single one of them except for 3 people in the room. I'm very, very curious what it is that you guys are going to get out of the Invenergy deal. I've heard everything from $19 million to $25 million. I've certainly heard that you're all expecting to get your sewage line up to the new sewage treatment plant, but that's a big part of it. I'd like to ask you what you're going to get out of it, but I'm pretty sure you're not going to tell me, because you don't tell me anything. You just want to put a humongous industrial application beside our farm, and you think that's fine. And it seems like, so far, what I know is that you're attempting to lower the sewage bills of all the people in the northern part of the township that already have sewage lines. We don't. We have a septic system. And most of the people in our ward have septic systems. And when they need to be fixed, you know what we do? We write a check. We don't come to you and say, would you please give us money to fix our septic system? We pay for it. But you guys have to realize that everything you do related to the energy industry has something on the back end that is going to cost everybody in this township. In fact, everybody everywhere. We've got big problems with water in this township. We've got roads closed. We've got landslides. There have been a constant parade of people up to this microphone all year about water issues. What's that coming from? It's probably coming from climate change. So what are we going to do? We're going to put in lots of gas wells and a big old power plant because that's going to fix it. I feel really bad for you people that you can't understand what you're doing, but you're not doing a good thing here. That's all I have to say.
Kathy, I just want to say one thing. I want to go on record. I have been told nothing by anyone from Invenergy. I have never met with anyone. I have never went to lunch with anyone. Now, there may be some people that sit up here that have done that, but I'm not one of them.
You have to, we're supposed to have something supposedly by the end of the month, some sort of agreement. I don't know if that's true or not. If it's not the end of this month, it should be next month, but it will all be public.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh, great.
Okay.
I'll second that. I've never gone to lunch with anybody. Some people here can't say that.
Sandy Harm, you got something that's not agenda?
Also in the folder that I gave you, on Sunday in the Post-Gazette, there was an article, February 2nd, 2019, concerning the Beaver Run Reservoir in Westmoreland County. It's a nearby well showed spikes in pressure. Nearby homes had gas pressure drop. They have stopped fracking in the area. Also, back on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, December 2017 into 18, they had trucks that spilled, and so they had to close down the operation and do a cleanup then. I mentioned this, and I included the article, because Mr. Ed Valentis of Huntley has used this as a glowing example at both the commissioners' meetings and the planning meeting. Also, Mr. McCall used this as an example at both the planning and commissioners' meeting, and also Mr. Vergandy has used this at the commissioners' meeting and the planning meeting. This is their shining example, and today it's shut down because of migration. Also, I included things about Salem Township, very near to the Beaver Run Reservoir in Westmoreland County. They had shut-off valves and were able to shut off the flow of gas. In our original version of the pipeline ordinance, there are no shut-off valves. Are we including those? On November 1st, 2018, there was an article, Clarksville, Greene County, a house was destroyed. The area has a lot of different pipelines. A house has an EQ well pad across the street from the house, and gathering lines run next to the home. Methane leaks and gas migrating through the ground are a known problem in the area. So what are we going to do to make these pipelines safer, well pads safer in our community, just like those communities, and I included that in the folder. Also, at one time, we asked to have an oil and gas attorney to help us through these issues. Invenergy hired Mr. William Siddick. Huntley hired Mr. Blaine Lucas. Why did we not hire, or at least interview, or get more deeply into, why don't we have an oil and gas attorney? Thank you.
Thank you. Last one is Scott Taylor.
Good evening, Scott Taylor, 304 Mohawk Drive. After all that, I don't even know where to start. This board's totally dysfunctional. You guys need some help. You guys got rid of your multiple business managers over the years, most likely due to political differences. Clearly, there's a political divide on this board. You can't make decisions sitting here in front of public, although I do appreciate the information actually given to the public. We've got one solicitor that sits on 2 boards as a cost-saving move. We fired the last business manager as a cost savings move. This is just in the 3 years that I've been coming to these meetings. I've witnessed suspending hiring practices to hire people. Then we end up being sued by those people. At a rough guesstimation, I would think at this point, even with all these cost-saving measures, we're probably at a net negative. You guys really need to think what we're doing here. You need a business manager in this township. Just from this, emergency road procedure that was done in Smithville, wasn't bonded. That's business 101. You guys all missed it. This guy's responsible for that, this guy's responsible for that. You guys are supposed to make decisions. You're not supposed to be getting involved in all this bullshit. You guys need to hire a business manager to run the business. This place is a business. Hey, we got Snelson here, or code enforcement. How many people come in here and complain about what's going on with him? This is nothing against you, John, honestly, I love you. But it's the position you're put in. He's asked questions. He sits there, looks like a deer caught in headlights looking at the solicitor, or one of you guys looking for answers. You guys, and to Emil's point here, talking about the state of emergency, I mean, to give a dysfunctional board even more power, what a dumbass idea. Sorry. Thanks.
Just a few, not all. All right, anything else for the good of the township? Motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor? Aye.